About a week ago, I did a video, which you can watch up here, called 7 Niche Fragrances That Smell Mass Appealing. Stirred up a little bit of controversy.
As intended.
I had a lot of you guys in the comments on that video saying,
well, this is interesting. Are we going to see designer fragrances that smell niche video?
And the truth is, I've actually already done that. About a year ago, maybe more than a year ago, I did a video called Designer Brands Make Niche Fragrances Too. That video was in response to a video I did right before that, talking about niche brands making mainstream fragrances. There's been this cycle, and as I've gone along in my journey of just observing and experiencing fragrances and being tapped into what's happening with conversations around fragrances in the community, which are always evolving, my perspective has evolved and deepened over the years, which is why I keep coming back to this topic. I do believe it is a timeless topic, and I only plan to come back to it as often as I can infuse new and interesting insight into the topic. And why do I do this? Because I think it's worth talking about, and I want to know what you think. I think this is something we should be discussing. I understand that many of you guys don't really care to draw a dividing line between designer and niche, but I know a lot of you do care, especially when price is involved. I can sum it up by saying a lot of you want to get what you're paying for. To put it simply, this video is meant to deliver on those of you who asked about an other side of the coin type of video. Designer fragrances, ones that come from mainstream brands that I believe are not mainstream fragrances. As I've said before, I evaluate niche versus mainstream on a fragrance by fragrance basis, not a house by house basis. I know a lot of you will disagree with that. You might prefer to just paint a broad stroke and say everything over here is designer because it's from a designer brand. Everything over here is niche because it's from a niche brand. If that keeps your world spinning, that's fine. But I just choose to have a little bit more nuance than that because I believe there is more nuance to discover. So what really drove me to put these fragrances on this list is identity. It is definitiveness. It is the fact that these fragrances have specific personalities and they are intended to do so. It's hard to define a mass appealing fragrance as one thing. It can look a number of different ways. These fragrances aren't that. They aren't just a mishmash of everything that works. They're specific, as I said. Let's dive into it. We're going to try to breeze through this as quickly as we can. This first one up here, I can see some people may be disagreeing with this, that I'm saying this is kind of a niche fragrance profile. But again, we're talking about specificity here. From Hermes, and we'll see Hermes again, this is H24 Eau de Parfum. I do think that the EDT version, which is its original, already established this idea that this DNA is not necessarily a mainstream mass appealing DNA. It is unique, it is new, but more than anything, I just appreciate Hermes for going out on a limb and giving us a brand new DNA. I think that is a sign for certain designer brands that tells you where the needle is for them. Are they just trying to cash in on the biggest hits by pumping out flanker after flanker? Or are they upholding the artistry of the art form, the innovativeness of the art form? You be the judge. Now, this has a very particular and peculiar scent to it. You have to love the idea of a sweet, green, mossy, metallic, fresh fragrance. That might sound like the oddest combination of elements, and it does come out to a fragrance that is odd. Not everyone is going to dig this. Some people say it smells like mossy bananas inside of a metal pipe. I can see where you're coming from with that, but I think it's way more sophisticated than that. Nonetheless, there is a simplicity here. Niche fragrances don't have to have the utmost complexity and evolution as they dry on your skin. That's definitely a plus, but there's plenty of amazing niche fragrances that are so specific and narrow in their vision, in their focus, in what they're trying to convey, and that is also what makes them niche. They are honing in on a niche taste. This does that. That's H24 Eau de Parfum. This is not a mainstream fragrance. I don't need to say much about this one. It does speak for itself, especially if you've tried it. Dior Homme Parfum. I think we can all agree that this is not a mainstream fragrance. This is a niche fragrance from a designer brand. Super specific. You gotta love powdery, waxy iris with leather, with rose. It's sweet. It's dark, it's very posh but powerful. It does appeal to a certain kind of personality. There's a reason why it has been discontinued in North America, because it wasn't really selling in this market. The average American taste in cologne
is very basic.
And that's why we don't get a lot of the best stuff that Europe gets and other parts of the world get. it. So some of you might be left to just wonder what this is like, but rest assured, this is a niche fragrance. We're back with more Hermes, and we're gonna see Hermes again. This is another odd one that's peculiar, specific. This is called L'Ombre de Merveilles. This is a tea-based fragrance with incense and tonka bean, but much more than that. To me, this fragrance paints a picture. That's typically what a great niche fragrance does. It may not smell like a particular person. Sometimes it just smells like a scent, like a combination of ingredients that conveys something. And you can place it wherever you want, man, woman, whatever in between. This is like cooling, smoky, fruity, fresh, foamy, soapy type of fragrance with a little bit of this tea calming vibe. It's so weird, but I like it. It works. It kind of all comes together as this very unique accord that has grown on me. I didn't always love it. The more I smell it, the more beautiful I find it. So if you're looking for something different and a little bit transportive, Hermes L'Ombre de Merveilles. Our last Hermes is Terre d'Hermes de Parfum. I included the eau de toilette in the last video like this that I did. I've tried to change it up and not really have any overlap. And for the same reasons that the eau de toilette is not a mainstream fragrance, in my opinion, the Parfum is even less of a mainstream fragrance. Not to say that it's more challenging, but it just makes the profile even more itself in its identity. It's a richer, more rounded version of that dry, slightly bitter, orange, woody, spicy fragrance. Super elegant, super sophisticated, very refined. Smells masculine to me. They're marketing it to men. I can see why a man would lean more towards a fragrance profile like this. But even then, not every guy's gonna like this because some people say it smells like an old man or a dirty, soily orange. And that's what makes it niche for me. It does have a particular target audience. Terre d'Hermes Parfum. Now you'll have to forgive me, I'm gonna go a little bit
Tom Ford crazy.
and I'm gonna try to just get through these quickly. I have 4 fragrances from Tom Ford. I could have selected so many more, but I had to just keep it under control. Tom Ford is one of those brands that, yes, they are a well-known designer. They're known for their cosmetics, they're known for their clothing, and they're definitely known for fragrance. And I'd say few of their fragrances I would consider mainstream. And even then, those fragrances, they're almost a niche and a mainstream brand wrapped up in one. At least when it comes to perfume, they are seeking to push the envelope a bit. This is one that does that, Ebene Fumé. This is such a specific fragrance, few of you will actually enjoy this. This is smoky, resinous, slightly sweet resinous, warm, spicy Palo Santo wood with a little bit of this violet leaf freshness when you first spray it on, just to give it a touch of an inviting feel. So much personality here. This is super specific. Tom Ford created Beau de Jour to appeal to the refined gentleman. He's paying homage to what men used to wear, especially back in the 70s, 80s, into the early 90s. The fougere was king for men. It was like the quintessential masculine profile for those who like to carry themselves with class. And he really kind of tried to, for lack of a better term, shove this down our throats. He gave us Beau de Jour in the private blend line. I think it may not have sold well, so he pulled it and said, you know what, I'm not giving up on this. I'm gonna reintroduce it into the signature line at a lower price point. I want guys to get this on their skin. This is how I want them to smell. I appreciate that. And this is not for everyone. It has balls. Look at it. Mossy, woody, clean lavender, but there is something kind of vintage about it. There's something that does smell a little bit more mature. It's a powerful scent. It's a robust profile. Not going to be for everyone. Tom Ford Beau de Jour. In the previous video, we included Black Orchid. This is the Parfum this time. And to me, this takes the original Black Orchid and almost makes it a little bit less unisex, a little bit more masculine leaning. It gives it a little bit more of an earthy edge. It's a little darker, if you can imagine it. A little less floral, but still sweet in that kind of chocolatey floral way, but that truffle is intensified. There's a little bit of booziness here. It is an incredible scent. This is nighttime only. This is all black. For me, this is cooler weather. And again, it's not like every other night out fragrance out there in the designer realm. It's not going to be swooning ladies everywhere and just smells super sexy and mass appealing. This smells like a confident person, and you got to wear it right, otherwise it might wear you. Tom Ford Black Orchid Parfum. In my walk in this fragrance journey, this is one of the most quintessential examples of a designer fragrance that is not mainstream. Because when I first tried this years ago, I hated it. I kid you not, and I did a whole video about it 6 or 7 years ago, but I knew I had to come back to it. This is Noir, the original. This is a masterpiece, if you're asking me. This pays homage to a fragrance like Habit Rouge from Guerlain. Has a little bit of Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense in there. If you can imagine this gothic smelling, powdery, ambery rose with a lot of earthy patchouli. It is such a melancholic scent. It smells like a very artistic individual or personality, but one with confidence, one with class. Not going to appeal to everyone. I think it has the ability to smell wonderful, especially if you don't overspray. It is a little subtle. I think if you wear it in the right situations, especially in the evening when it's not hot, it can smell really beautiful and really interesting. But if you just get this for yourself and you spray it up close on your skin or paper and smell it, you might be turned off. It's not for everyone. This is not your everyday profile. It is technically a designer fragrance, but it's not mainstream. That's Noir. You know I couldn't leave this off the list. You guys already know this is one of the best examples of this. And this was in the previous video, but I couldn't exclude it. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. This is the most anti-designer fragrance. Dark, medicinal, dry, woody leather. Does that sound like a panty melter? Not to me, and I don't really care to do that, even with fragrances that are meant to do that. But this is how you leave an unmistakable statement. You may not get compliments when you wear it, but that's okay, because you don't need them. You're a confident individual. You can reinforce your own self-image. Anything else that comes externally is just a bonus. So this is for those who don't really need the feedback, but they'll take it if it comes, and if it doesn't, that's all good. Gucci Guilty Absolute. And we absolutely had to get a Cartier on this list. Cartier is one of those few brands that I believe really cares about the artistry and the heritage of perfumery. There was a time when there wasn't really no designer and niche. The line was blurred, and it wasn't until the last few decades where we started to see this divide. But any brand has the ability and power to uphold the artistry and innovativeness of perfumery, and Cartier still sees themselves as one that does that. And this is Declaration d'un Soir. Again, specificity in personality here. This is woody, spicy rose, fresh, a little bit powdery, just a little bit, and dry woods with spices. It is a masculine rose. It is romantic, but there is a backbone here. And again, specific face here, not one that's going to appeal to every guy out there. If you are a guy and you're looking for a rose-based masculine personality to wear on a date night, then you must consider this fragrance. Cartier Declaration d'un Soir. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed filming it. This is a topic I could talk about forever, and as long as I have this channel, I will be revisiting it because, like I said, I believe it is a timeless topic in today's industry. So I want to know what you think down in the comments. Join the discussion. If you have yet to try any of these fragrances, I'm going to link to whatever I can find down in the description under the like button. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.